welcome. Hi. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Leslie Germain, and our class today is going to be an intermediate advanced level. We're going to do some back bending, heart opening poses infused with some fun arm balances in between. Since it is advanced, we're going to move a little bit faster. You want to have a little bit of knowledge, or a lot of bit of knowledge of how your body feels in certain poses. So if you're newer to yoga, don't worry about it. I still provide modifications for you. I will still work on challenging you, and at any point, you can press pause and say, that's enough for me. Even my advanced people, sometimes we have those days where we're really tired and we try to do these practices and we're like, I don't know if I can do this right now. So, go at 50% that day. But these videos are here for you to watch at your own leisure and practice as much as you can. If you notice that you're having an off day, try again in a few days and see how your body feels, okay? So we're gonna start on our mat, on our back. So if you have a wheel, awesome. If you don't have a wheel, I know not everybody has a wheel. Blocks work perfectly fine too. Since this is a back bending focus class, we just want to place the block right underneath the upper mid-back region where your scapula, so if you hug yourself around, you'll feel your shoulder blades here. You want it to be right underneath that area. So for me, it would be in this section that I would place the block and then lay down on the ground. Okay. So since I have a wheel, I'm going to start there. And we don't just jump into our deepest back bend on the block. Have it on its lowest setting. And then start to let your head and arms open out wide, softening whatever you can soften. And breathing here, feeling your breath. If you're on a wheel like I am, feel free to start rolling your spine out. So pushing your feet into the ground and finding a new place to open space and create space in the back body. So I'm going to lift my head off the block because it's too much for my neck. And take your time as you move around, not rushing into it, taking a few breaths here. And then allowing your body to melt over your prop, whether it be the block or the wheel, or maybe you have some other supportive thing below your back. And if you don't have anything at all, don't worry about it. Just lay on the back and feel your breath. When we start our yoga practice, we really want to go inside and just notice how we feel. Not only in the physical body, where we might be holding tension, where we might be feeling soft, but also your emotional body, your nervous system, if you're feeling regulated, calm, able to respond to stress in a loving way, right? That's the goal. In your mental state. So we've got the physical, the emotional, the mental. Is your mind all over the place? Is it able to settle down and find silence within, awareness of your thoughts? Feel free to move your arms up and down. You don't have to keep them wide into a T. If it's too much for your shoulders, you can always hug yourself here. But wherever you are, feel about 1 more minute of your breath. And if your back body is feeling pretty good right now, move your block, move your wheel, lay down on your back, close your eyes, and pause and feel. Allow your body to get a little heavier. Allow your breath to get a little longer. Allow your mind to become a little stiller. And if you're on a block or a wheel, slowly move your prop out of the way. And we'll find your way down to your back if you're not there already. Bringing your knees up, soles of the feet down the ground, about hip or mat distance apart. Bring your arms out to cactus arms and let your knees fall over to the left. It doesn't have to touch the ground here. You know, I haven't done any hip or quad lengthening, so it's a little tight right now. And then roll over to the other side. We're just twisting the belly a little bit after doing a back bend to start class off. Starting to move the other body parts around. So as your legs start to shift left to right, maybe you gaze opposite your knees. Finding movement in the head and the neck. Then I'm going to try to make this practice about an hour or so. So I'm going to have Alexa set timer 50 minutes. I might have unplugged her. I did unplug Alexa. Well, I will do my best, because I know sometimes these advanced classes go on for 90 minutes, and as much as I love the long flow classes, there's always a time for these shorter advanced classes as well. But there's no promises. We'll see. It might end up being 90. I hope not. Kick your feet up into the air, flexing and pointing the feet. Big circles with the toes, ankle rolls here. Snap, crackle, and pop. Maybe go the other direction. How big of a circle can you draw with your toes? And then bend your knees and straighten the legs. Bend the knees, straighten the legs. One more time as you bend the knees. Take your arms around your shins and hug really tight, so tight. Yeah, you might even feel this in your hips. Can you soften those areas at all? Happy baby pose. Maybe you shift left to right. Maybe you already feel like you can straighten one leg, especially if you were a gymnast or a dancer. I was not. I did dance in 8th grade for 1 year for my middle school. I wouldn't count that as being a professional dancer by any means. We were a really good dance team, funny enough. We made it to the UDA championships in Florida, Disney World, so that was fun. But I was probably one of the weakest members of the team. Don't ask me how I got on it. I think the English teacher, who was the coach, just liked me. All right, we're gonna do some ab work. Bring your legs down so they're 45 degrees as your head and shoulders lift off the ground. Palms are facing down, and then start to pump the air for 10. 9, if this is pretty easy for you, lower your legs a little bit more for 7. 6, head and shoulders lift off a little bit more. We're balancing on that low back in the glutes for 3. Pump a little faster. 2 and 1. Exhale, happy baby again. Once again, you can shift side to side. Notice if your tailbone is really lifted off the ground. For this happy baby, if you can't reach your feet, that's okay. I'd rather you have your tailbone on the ground and you can't reach your feet than having you have to lift off so you can grab your feet. You know what I'm saying? So then your back body can relax and spread wide. And then maybe you roll and straighten one leg as the other foot draws into the pelvis. And switch sides. My poor plants on my right side are always getting kicked by me. All right, we're gonna do that core work again, kicking the feet up. This time head and shoulders lift as we reach. We're trying to come up to our toes. My toes are pointed, so it's like we're in high heels essentially. You point the feet and then spread your toes super wide apart. Pointing the feet, toes spread, reach up, right hand lifts for the right foot, left and right. It's like we're climbing a rope. Reach, 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 reach. You can do it. You're so close, it's there, it's there. You can get those toes, can't you? Getting a little closer. Okay, let them lower down halfway. Go a little bit lower, maybe 30 degrees, and once again, pump the air here for 10. Really focus your awareness on those low abs. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Exhale, drop the feet down to the ground, knees point up. Inhale, pushing yourself up for bridge pose. Reaching your arms up overhead, palms touch down. Staying here for about 3 breaths. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, push the heels off the ground while your knees reach for the front of your mat. 1 more breath. Squeeze the glutes. Exhale, lower the heels, hands, spine, all the way down to the ground. Feet together, knees go wide, reclined butterfly. Maybe you bring one hand to your heart, the other to your belly. Pause and feel here, always checking in. Going inside is more important than the physical shape that our bodies make. Want to notice our breath, notice our mind, notice the energy and sensations that we are creating because of the movement. Okay, let's do a few more rolling bridges. If you like it to be more a stationary bridge like we just chose, feel free as you lift the hips. Arms reach up overhead. Maybe heels lift. And like I said, if you want to roll back down. And then inhale, rise. Moving with your breath as you exhale, lower. And then inhale, lift. If you have a really slow breath, you're going to move slower than I am. If you have a more shallow breath, you might move a little quicker. Or maybe you just stay lifted in your bridge, bring your hands underneath your back, interlace your fingers, and draw your chest up to your chin. Wherever you chose to go, hold that or move that for 5 more breaths. See if you can push your hips up just a little bit higher. Engage the glutes a little bit more, and then release to 50% glutes. And then squeeze for your last breath. If you came into rolling bridge, hold this last bridge here with all of our friends for 1. And exhale, slowly lower 1 vertebrae at a time. Let the pelvis spread, the sacrum spread by pushing the feet together, knees go wide. Can you create more space between your rib cage and your hips by pushing down on the legs? A little left to right action. Maybe on the thighs. Just a little movement. You probably won't go anywhere. It's very micro. Okay, we're going to do 1 more core work of finding our way up into more of a flow. This is going to be my reverse or upside down crow crunches. So coming into crow pose on our back. How do we do that? Well, we bring our hands up as though we're pushing our hands into the ground. So when we're on the ground, this is how we do crow. So let's actually do some wrist circles here since we haven't done any wrist movement yet. And then reverse direction, just like we did with our ankles. Flexing your hands, point them up to the sky. You're holding that ceiling above you. You're not going to let it fall. Now we're going to draw the knees into the elbows or into the triceps. Hopefully into the armpits. So to get into the armpits, you notice you're going to have to lift those hips up high, right? If the hips don't lift, it's not possible to get your knees into your armpits. So feel that roll. And now for the actual crunch part, full body, while we lift the knees into our arms, lift the head and shoulders up. So our arms aren't reaching forward towards the front of the mat, they're reaching up to the ceiling. Hips lift. Keep squeezing those knees into your arms, the arms into your knees. And then on the inhale, lengthen into a hollow boat. Exhale, crunch. Inhale, lengthen. Try to find that crow. Exhale. Get the knees up on those arms. We've got about 7 to go. Engage the bandhas. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, probably firing a little bit. We're halfway there. Can you lift the head and shoulders a little bit higher? And 3, 2. Last one. I want you to hold 2, 1. Exhale, drop the feet to butterfly, recline butterfly. Woo! How you feeling? Yeah. Knees draw back up, soles of the feet down. Let's do another bridge. Maybe your arms stay reached overhead. Toes reaching away from the fingertips. Soften the belly here. Breathe into the core. One more breath. Exhale, lower. Hug your knees into your chest. Small circles. Reverse direction. And we're going to find our way into downward facing dog, whether that means you roll to one side, pushing yourself up, or roll yourself forwards and backwards. And then jumping yourself back or walking yourself back into down dog. And the more you practice that transition, the smoother it will become. And we're going to be in this down dog for about 10 breaths. Once again, going inside, pausing and feeling. Now, if you feel like walking your dog out, that's fine. But for me, for this one, I'm just going to sit here and let my body naturally open. So over time, my knees will straighten just a little bit. My heels will come down a little bit closer to the ground. My chest will allow me to do a little bit of a back bend. How do you want your down dog to feel? About 7 more breaths left. You're like, how slow are you breathing, Leslie? Slow. Just like you were pushing the ceiling away in your crow pose, push the ground away in your down dog to find more space in the spine. More lift in the hips. Suck the belly in, belly to back spine. See if you can straighten the knees here, lower the heels for 3, 2, last breath. Exhale, knees down, keeping the toes tucked, sitting back on your heels. Ooh. Wrist circles. Shake, shake, shake. And we're going to do big shoulder circles here. So if you want to keep sitting back on your feet, go ahead. If your toes or the back of your feet hurt, don't worry about it. Bring your hands to your shoulders and start to draw circles with your elbows. See if you can get your elbows to touch and reach behind your back and touch. No, they can't do that? Mine either. But I'm working on it, yeah? I'm squeezing them together, using those tiny back muscles. And then reverse direction. Draw your belly button into your spine. Try not to have too much of a banana back. Keep squeezing those elbows. The elbows lead the movement. Keep your awareness on that. And then shake the palms out. Untuck the feet. Flipping your fingertips so they're pointing towards your knees, and then begin to lean back. And be here about 5 breaths. So in these advanced classes, we really want to pay attention to these tiny muscles too. So when we're first starting off yoga, everything is hard. Everything is new. We're creating new neural pathways in the mind to connect what we see and what we hear to how our body looks and feels. And sometimes those aren't the same thing, and that takes time to develop. Sometimes I'll be recording myself and I'll watch it and I'm like, that's what I look like? Oops. That's not what I see in my head, but that's okay. And then flip your hands, shake, shake, shake. And so over time, once you learn and your body feels what it's supposed to feel, you need different poses, more challenging poses to keep yourself interested or excited in that like yoga high that you feel afterwards. So that's why we have these other classes, bringing your hands into fists and then allowing your forearms to come down to the ground. Push your elbows off the ground. See how much you can straighten these arms. Push your hands, make fists, down, down, down. Exhale, lower. Do that 3 more times. But yeah, we have these classes to challenge everybody. Whether you're new to yoga, you've been doing yoga for 6 months, 6 years, or even 60 years. 2 more. And on your last one, you're gonna hold and breathe. Squeeze a little tighter. Exhale, release and shake. Downward facing dog. Inhale, send that right leg up high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, kick it back up. Exhale, knee to nose. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, bring that foot through, let it land. Left hand stays where it is, right arm reaches up for a twist. Drawing the right rib cage away from the thigh. The left rib cage is trying to hug it in. Give that thigh a kiss. Reaching that top arm up overhead, and then starting to rotate your feet so your toes are pointing towards the right side of your mat. If you're able to do that, notice what happens if you lower the left hip and lift it again. A little bit lower, a little bit higher. If this hurts your wrists at all, notice if your fingertips are pointing forward, pivot your hand so your thumb is pointing forward and your fingertips are facing away from you, and then reach your arm back up. If that feels better in your wrists, then do that. For me, it feels much better, so that's where I go. And then I'm allowed to lower my hips just a little bit more because I feel safer. Beautiful. Exhale, keeping my hand that way, start to heel toe that front foot towards the back for side plank. Now you can either have your feet stacked in front of each other, or right on top of each other, or bring the left knee down if you need to. Reach the top arm overhead for 3, 2, 1. Wild thing as your right foot moves behind you about a foot, pushing your hips up and your heart up, and holding here for 3. Where can you soften? Use your feet, push both feet down into the ground, strong legs, last breath. Exhale, slowly bringing that right hand back down, fingertips point forward, downward facing dog. Walking your hands all the way in, and then reaching your hands underneath your feet, trying to get your toes into your wrist creases. If that doesn't feel possible for you, you can also slide your feet on the pinky edge side of your feet and see if that helps release any pressure in your wrists. Okay? And then soften the knees, allow your belly and thighs to connect as you soften the head and the neck. Maybe shake your head yes or no a few times. Lean your weight more into your toes versus your heels. But don't go so far that you fall over into a somersault. Exhale as you release the hands, walking them back out to the front of your mat. High plank pose. Taking one inhale here. Exhale, knees down, chest down, chin down. Pulling your knees towards your chest. So we're engaging the core here. And then exhale, everything down. Hands stay under shoulders, push all 10 toes down. Inhale, Cobra Pose. If you went super high, notice that. Go down so low, not to the ground, but low enough where you're able to lift your hands off the ground. So we're using our back muscles and not our arms to push us into Cobra. And then once your hands are lifted off the ground, maybe you lift a little bit higher. Keep pushing your feet down. One more breath. Exhale, lower the forehead down to the ground. Reach your hands out in front of you. And act as though you're holding a bar, like you're gonna do some weightlifting. Squeeze the bar with your hands. Keep your forehead on the ground. Maybe you lift the feet an inch or two. And then the last part of the pose is seeing if you can pull the belly button off the ground. Just the belly button. So the feet are lifted, the arms are squeezing the bar, and your belly button is moving away from the ground. The forehead is still there, the chest is still there. Notice what happens when you inhale and exhale. Try to keep the belly button off. We don't want to smush that strawberry. For 3, 2, suck the belly in. Lift the arms up a little higher so they're above your ears. Last breath. Exhale, release. Rest a cheek. Maybe windshield wiper the knees or the feet side to side. Hello, Oof. I don't know what your real name is, it doesn't show. But yes, watch this one later. It'll be here. Okay, hands come back under the shoulders, tucking the toes. And you can choose your journey into your destination. So our destination will be downward facing dog. How will you get there is up to you. Maybe you push your seat back to your heels for child's pose, or maybe you want to practice pushing yourself up through plank. And if you want to practice that, tuck your toes, walk your toes closer to your hips, towards your thighs. Your thighs will begin to lift. Then push your shoulder heads off the ground. If they're laying down and touching your mat, it's going to be really hard to straighten your arms. So push the shoulder heads up, engage the back muscles, push your hands into the ground, and straighten the arms. How'd you do? Yeah? Maybe you lifted a micromillimeter, that is. Or maybe you pushed yourself all the way up to the ground for downward facing dog. Inhale, send that left leg up high. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, back out. Exhale. One more. Get it a little bit closer. You can almost kiss your knee. And then flick that foot forward. Foot goes in between your hands. Right hand stays where it is as your left arm comes up for a twist. Once again, pull the belly button into the spine. And if you need to pivot, I got a sparkle glitter on my hand. If you need to pivot that right hand, draw the fingertips so they're reaching away from the front of the mat, and the thumb is now pointing towards the front of the mat. Notice how that feels on your hands, because you know we're going to go into side plank soon. Start to pivot your feet so your toes are pointing towards the left edge of your mat, and then let your hips sink, push back up, and sink. Explore, fill it out. Maybe that left arm reaches up overhead, palm facing down. And then heel toe slowly your way into side plank, Vashisthasana. We're gonna be here for 3. Knee can come down, feet can be staggered, feet can be on top of each other. One more breath. Lifting that left leg to allow it to drop one foot behind you. Wild thing. Keep pushing your feet and your hands into the ground. Just one hand, don't worry about that left hand. One more breath. Where can you unfurl? Exhale, left hand comes down to meet the right. Pivot the hands so they're both pointing forwards. One inhale here. All right, we're gonna do some push-up work. I like to bring my knees down to the ground. I'm gonna do a few wrist circles here. I can't see you, so if you wanna do the same, go ahead. But we're gonna do about 10 push-ups, because oftentimes in yoga, we don't do a lot of the up. We push down, but not push up. So let's work that in our body. I'm gonna have my knees down, but if you are super strong and you're not gonna fall apart, then you can have your knees lifted. So if your low back is really low or your booty is really high, then I recommend knees down, okay? And you ready? Let's do 10. If you wanna hug your elbows in like chaturanga, you can. If you wanna have your elbows go wide, that's another option. You can go as close to the ground as you like and lift back up. It's all good. Notice how your hands are responding if your fingertips are clawing the ground or if your palms are flat. Is there a difference? We've got about 3 left. Whenever you're done, child's pose. Whoa, it's getting hard. That push up. Oh God. Yeah, okay. I have work to be done. Child's pose. Arms down to your sides, rest a cheek. Maybe you squeeze your hands really tight and flick your fingers. Maybe you do some wrist circles. Always listening to your body. If you need something, do it. It's your practice, it's your body. I never know what's going on inside unless you tell me. Downward facing dog. Bending your knees so your knees are floating off the ground just a few inches, pushing your hips away from your palms. Can you get your knees a little bit lower? Take a deep inhale, exhale, look forward, jump forward. Whew. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping the ground away, setting your arms up, palms touch. Exhale, release, arms down to your sides, mountain pose. Okay. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, hands come together as you twist over to the right, allowing the left elbow to hook across the right outer thigh. Maybe you stay here or open your arms out wide. Inhale, coming back through center, palms together. Taking that right foot, squeezing the knees together and allowing the foot to move a few inches back. Heading into Flamingo Pose. Maybe that right foot can lift. As you start to shift your torso down, down, down. Seeing how close you can get your head to the ground. And then inhale, rise. Flamingo Pose. Keep squeezing those knees together. If you're falling all over the place, keep the right toes on the ground until you start to develop the awareness in your body to eventually float the foot. So you can either keep your hands where they are, bring them to your hips, or interlace your hands behind your back, and then come down into your flamingo again, going halfway, maybe a little bit more. By no means do you have to go lower. Come back up halfway again, all the way to the top. Let's do that 3 more times. Really squeeze those knees together. Ooh. If you're feeling wobbly, let the toes come down. Using those back muscles to bring you up. Yeah, 2 more. Steady gaze. Last one. And for this one, we're gonna hold here, hovering the torso parallel with the ground. Maybe your fingertips stay interlaced, but reach your arms a little bit further back. 1 more breath. Exhale, see yourself in Warrior 1, go there. Inhale as your arms rise. Back heel touching the ground. Exhale, interlacing your hands behind your back in case you did not do that earlier. Inhale as your sternum lifts up. Exhale, humble warrior, bowing forward. Left hip draws back, right hip draws forward as your forehead reaches for the ground. Maybe bend a little deeper into that front knee. Exhale, bringing both hands down to the ground. Straightening that front leg, maybe bending the back knee. And just playing with a low lunge and a pyramid version. As you transfer your weight forward and backwards from your front to back heels. Your movements might get a little bit bigger. They might get a little smaller. Okay, we're just gonna notice how this feels transferring the weight. So we're gonna do a little handstand practice here. If you wanna find the wall, go ahead. I might need the wall, we'll see. Move away a little bit. Okay, so we have that left foot forward. Inhale, kick that left leg up high. Bend the knee. So the foot is reaching for your glutes. And then bend that right leg and jump up. So it might just move an inch, okay? We want this right leg here to stay really, really heavy. So this is like a stag version of handstand. So as long as this right leg is heavy, then it'll make it so we don't fall over into a back bend. If you're afraid of a back bend, if your core's not engaged, definitely find the wall, okay? But so I can show you what I'm talking about first. Keeping that left leg bent. My hands are pivoted out slightly so my thumbs are a little bit forward. My fingertips are not directly forward. It's more like the U shape of my hand. The middle of the U is pointing forward. That feels good in my body. Left leg reaches, bend the knee, and hop. Keep that right leg heavy, hop. Keep that right leg heavy, hop, steady gaze. Do that 3 to 5 times. Whoa, whoa. And then kick switch, left foot goes forward, right foot goes back, low lunge, inhale, send your arms. How'd you do? This is something that if we practice, then we can get good at. If we don't practice, then we'll never be able to do it, right? So it's scary. So we start close to the wall, and if our foot touches the wall, we come back down. Our foot touches the wall, we come back down. Because then we're learning to overkick, right? We're just over kicking, so we don't want to hold that. We want to hold it when our foot doesn't kick the wall. But the wall is there to protect us. It's a good thing. All right, holding your low lunge. I'm gonna find my breath here. So if you want to go into lizard from here, allow your knee to fall wide, coming onto the pinky edge side of your foot. Maybe bending your elbows here, allowing your forearms or head and chest to come down to the ground. And we're gonna be here about a minute for lizard. So if you want to bring your forearms down to the ground or a block, maybe your head and chest. I need to be able to talk for another 30 minutes or so. So I'm gonna find my breath here. And you can play with shifting your weight forward and back, side to side. Don't feel like you need to stay in one movement. You can tuck the back foot, lift the knee. Feel free to explore. We've got about 20 more seconds here. Okay, hands come back under the shoulders. Left foot on the outside of the left hand. Shift your weight forward and back, coming into Malasana. That right foot will join the outside of the right hand. Low squat, palms together. Open your arms out wide. And then reverse switch sides. It's like we're flying. Do that a few times, moving from side to side. And you can keep moving like this or find your way into crow pose. Hands come down to the ground, hips lift, crow pose. If you want to go a little further, slowly lower that head down to the ground and go into headstand. You have to shift your gaze down as you bend the elbows slowly, your head comes down. Start with a tucked headstand as you start to shift your weight. This is if you have a headstand practice. If you don't worry about it. Draw your knees up into a tucked headstand. And then maybe you start to straighten the legs. Squeezing your elbows together, forming that box-like shape, clawing the ground with your fingertips. We'll be here for 3. If you're still in crow, awesome, stay in crow, you can do it. Come back up if you fell out. 2, 1, find your way back down into crow. Knees go wide or tuck. Shift the hips to bring your hands back on your shelf or your knees on your shelf. Push your head off the ground. Crow pose, Malasana, feet come down, push the ground away, inhale as your legs straighten, exhale, mountain pose, whoo. Hand to heart and belly, pause and feel. Chair pose. Twisted chair, hands to heart center, over to your left this time. Right elbow around the left outer thigh. If you want to open your arms, open your arms. Maybe smile. Inhale back to regular chair, Flamingo Pose. So engage the belly button into the spine, left toes Reach back just a few inches or so, balancing on the tippy toes. Squeeze the knees in, and then stand up straight. Come down halfway. Reach the head down, and then keep moving up and down, taking your time, going as slow as quickly as possible. You can keep your hands at heart center. Hands can come to hips. Interlace your hands behind your back. Lift that back foot. The choice is yours. Find your steady breath and steady gaze wherever you decide to go. Got about 3 more flamingos dancing left in you. Keep squeezing those knees together, steady gaze. And on your last one, we're gonna come down halfway and hold. Really engage those low back muscles. So squeeze them in towards each other like they're hugging the vertebrae. And we're gonna see ourselves going into warrior one. See it in your mind's eye. Believe it and achieve it. Inhale, release the arms just for a moment. Maybe you scoot that front foot a little bit further towards the front of your mat. Exhale, interlace your hands the other way, so the other pinky's on top. It's gonna feel a little awkward. Inhale, push the sternum up. Exhale, fold forward, humble warrior. Notice if you're resting your torso on that thigh, if you're able to slide down a little bit more to allow your top of the head to come down to the ground, keep reaching. Right hip draws back, left hip draws forward. Exhale, releasing your hands to frame the front foot. And then we're just starting to do that low lunge to pyramid pose, bending in the front knee. You can bend the back knee as well. Using momentum, feeling balance transfer from our feet into our hands. And you might also feel a little flexibility here if that's what you want to work on. So this is your practice. If you want to work on strength, you work on strength. For some poses, if you want to work on flexibility, do half and half. Half flexibility, half strength. And then just notice when you move your body, how does that shift the energy from your fingertips, from your heel of your hand, from your feet? So now we're gonna try that handstand practice again. This time the right leg is going to kick up, so feel free to find that wall. Bend the right foot. So you might stay here, where you're squeezing that foot into your glute, and you're just jumping that left foot off the ground an inch. This is great. This is awesome, because you're learning how to lift your hips up, and eventually you'll feel the hips stack over the head, and you'll feel that balance for like half a second. It's awesome. And if you do celebrate it, that is a moment to celebrate, okay? If you want to keep playing, lift the leg up a little higher. Let that left leg stay heavy. Uh-oh. Let it stay heavy. Last one, do 3 to 5. This side's not so good for me. That's okay. And then where did we go from here? Lizard lunge, yeah. Kick switch. Right leg comes forward. Lizard on the other side. So if you want to keep playing with that headstand, go ahead. Give yourself another few jumps. Usually if I don't do it by jump 3, definitely by jump 5, then I know that it's not in the cards for that particular moment. Doesn't mean I won't try it again in a couple minutes, but no reason to force something that isn't ready to be there. And whenever you're ready to come down into your lizard, forearms come down to the ground or your blocks. Allow that knee to pivot out. So we're resting on the pinky edge side of that right foot. How are you feeling? Once again, feel free to explore here. Maybe you tuck the back foot, lift the knee, and shift your weight side to side, left to right. I can already tell you right now, this class is going to be longer than an hour because I still have one more sequence that I planned. So it'll probably be more like 75-minute class. That's okay though. And bringing your hands down to the ground, tuck the foot, bring that right foot back, slowly lower to the count of 3. All the way down to the ground, 2. And 1, exhale, lower. Bend the knees, reach back for the feet. Bow pose, Dhanurasana. Kicking your feet into the hands so you can lift the knees off the ground a little bit more. And the more that you kick your feet into your hands, the more space you'll create in the front of your chest. So when you're looking to go into these deep back bends, we're not just looking to create space or contraction in the back body. We want to lengthen the front body. So when we're laying on our bellies right here in bow pose, this is a huge back bend where we're allowing our bodies to open up safely. We're not weight bearing here. We're seeing what we can naturally do using our strength. Can you kick your knees up a little higher? Can you draw your low rib cage off the ground? I cannot. One more breath. Exhale, release. Arms down to your sides. Rest your other cheek. Maybe windshield wiper your feet. Okay, we're going to go back up. If you've taken enough of my classes, you know there are 2 options for my bow poses. You can either take the outside grip to the outer heels, or do an external rotation of the arms, thumbs start to point up, and then reach back for the big toe side of your feet. So your thumbs are pointing up, thumbs up, good job. 2 thumbs up, awesome job. All right, inhale as you lift the knees and the chest off the ground. See if you can squeeze your knees so they're in the same line as your hips. We're gonna be here for 5 more breaths. Building all those back muscles in the low back, the mid back, the upper back. You can do it. 1 more breath, lift a little higher. Exhale, release, windshield wiper. Bringing your hands under your shoulders, exploring your destination into downward facing dog. I'm getting tired, so I'm gonna take a child's pose destination. And we all meet in downward facing dog. Inhale as you send your right leg up high, stack the hips, bend the knee. Looking underneath the left armpit, and then finding your way by flipping the wheel, flipping the dog. Right foot falls down to the ground slowly, right arm lifts up. Exhale, let's come back into that 3-legged downward dog. So, I'm gonna show you something really quick if you wanna take a little break. You might. So I have a really good friend of mine who she has seen flipping the dog go into wheel or wilding into wheel, and she's like, how do I do that? I just don't feel like it's possible. And you may have the same thought if you've ever seen that pose. Why does it feel impossible? Well, for one, you definitely want to make sure that wheel is in your practice and that it's not a pose that you struggle with. You also want to feel strong in that flip the dog. So that pose we just felt, if you feel nice and solid, like you can hold that for 10 breaths, then you can try this version of transitioning into wheel pose. So maybe you do a wheel right now if you want to see how you're feeling while I show you the transition. But the trick for this transition is that when we're in downward facing dog, our fingertips are facing forward. I've been talking about our wrists a lot, right? So if we want to flip the dog into wheel, we don't want our hands to face like this. We want this, okay? We want to have that pivot so our thumb is facing towards the front of the mat. So feel free to watch me here. My left hand is pivoted, so my thumb is pointing more forward. It's not all the way, it's more like 45 degrees for me, but it might be more for you. Lift the right leg up, flip the dog, right foot comes down, left arm goes up high. So now if I want to go into wheel pose, I readjust that left foot, bring it in, bring that right hand down so the fingertips are pointing away from me, thumb pointing towards my heel. Transfer weight into the right hand, bring the left hand forward. Voila, wheel pose. All right, can I go back? I don't know, let's see. Start to bring my thumb so it's pointing forward again. Rotate right hand down, kick that right leg up high. 3-legged dog, exhale. Bring that right foot forward. Okay, so now now you're gonna get to try it, okay? So that was you watching me. Now it's your turn. I'm not gonna show it on the other side though. So this is one description. Rewind the video if you need to see it again. Just go back like a minute or so. Three-legged downward dog. Left hand pivots so the thumb is pointing more towards the front of the mat as you lift the right leg. Bend the knee, stack the hips, look underneath, flip your dog, right foot lands, hips go forward, start to heel toe that left foot forward as your right hand drops down, thumb pointing towards the heel. Maybe that left hand moves, take a breath or two and wheel, Urdhva Dhanurasana, and then find our way back. Left hand, point that hand so the thumb is pointing more towards the front of the mat as you start to rotate. Woo! Three-legged downward dog, right leg lifts up. Look at you, you are amazing. Jump up for joy. I want to see it. Post me, tag me. Want to know how you did. Warrior two. I'm getting sweaty. It's very hot now. It's like 80 degrees outside, guys. This is craziness. Exhale, reverse warrior. Extended side angle, elbow to knee or down to the ground. So this is one of those choices where you can choose, do you want to do flexibility or strength? I know I'm pretty flexible, so I'm going to choose strength by taking my right hand and touching my chest or maybe my scapula. This way I build more strength in my core. So when I want to play with handstand, when I want to play with these crazy arm balances, I have the strength. One more breath. Exhale as you shift your weight forward over to the right, or the left, sorry, for Skidasana. Side lunge. Left knee is bent, right leg is straight. Yeah, we switch sides. I know, it's really tricky. See if you can here, pulse by lifting the hips, using your leg strength. So I want your left heel down if you can, but continue lifting the hips. Maybe your hands float, reaching away from you. Yeah, we're building strength. Maybe you want to do flexibility though, that's okay. And then see yourself in Halfmoon Pose at the front of your mat. Can you see it? Can you see it? Maybe. Shift your weight forward, toes point forward, Halfmoon. Oh, look at you, you did it. Yes. Keeping those right fingertips on the ground. Bend the top leg and then reach back for your foot. If you can't find your foot, bring your knee into your chest. Take your hand to your knee and slide it down your foot. Now instead of doing a back bend here, you can if you want. It's your choice. Go for the back bend or squeeze the heel into your glutes. Getting a nice deep quad stretch. You can stay here in your quad stretch, or you can start to fold forward over that right leg for a different version of, what is this called? Super Soldier. So in Super Soldier, you would actually be reaching with your other arm. But this is good enough for now. And then slowly, see it, believe it, triangle pose. Releasing that foot, left foot comes down, right arm travels up. Trikonasana. Can you smile? No, Leslie, I can't. We're almost an hour into this. All right, so if you want to do a little back bend here, start to push your hips forward, reach your sternum further away from the hips. Let your arms go out wide, like a wide T. Create more space in your shoulders, and then come back to your normal triangle where you're in between two panes of glass. If you're working on building strength, left hand reaches, belly button to spine. How are we doing? Exhale, bending the knee. Right hand goes for the bind, so we're going for a bind here, extended side angle bind. We're gonna go into bird of paradise. So I'm gonna foot face the mat, but you're gonna heel toe that left foot forward to meet the right. I'm not gonna do that though. So your hands wrapped around the right leg, root the right foot. Oh no, sorry, root the left foot. And then lift that right heel off the ground. Right heel off the ground, right heel off the ground. Engage the belly. Suck the belly button in, and maybe your leg lifts for bird of paradise. Maybe you straighten the leg. Maybe you smile. Okay, can we hold on to this bind and go down halfway into a fire hydrant version? So we're still reaching with the right toes. We start to shift our torso down. Keep kicking, flointing the foot. And then we're gonna come back up. Bending the knee, taking our arms away, hugging our knee into our chest, twisting open, right arm reaches back, the left arm hugs the knee. Standing revolve twist. Unwinding, taking your peace fingers, grabbing onto the big toe of the right foot, left hand to hip. Woo, standing tall, kicking the foot out in front of you. If you need to hold on to the knee, that's okay too. Always working with your own challenge. You might only be able to kick the foot this far, that's okay. Open out to the side. So we just did Bird of Paradise. We're gonna try to do that fire hydrant again, holding onto that big toe. Whew. Steady gaze, don't do what I'm doing. Left arm can reach out wide to give you a little more balance. Hips draw back, crown of the head draws forward. Can you find your way into pistol squat from here? Right foot draws forward as you bend that left knee. Hovering here, you can grab on with both hands. Yeah, or maybe pushing that foot to the ground, hands come together for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower the sit bones. I'm just pivoting myself so you guys can see Heron Pose. Bend the knee, take the left hand to the outside of the foot, or the pinky edge side of the foot, and then lean back. Heron Pose. So we start gentle. Nice deep bend in that elbow. Letting our foot kick into our hand. And then start to straighten that right arm. Keeping that leg extended. We're trying to draw the belly to the thigh. Maybe you start to balance. Kicking that foot forward. Right arm goes back. So we just did this standing. Can you push yourself up to a standing position from here? I'm kidding. We're not gonna do that, but it'd be funny. Unwind, take your right hand to your foot or the back of your shin. Start to lean back, keeping a tuck in that left knee to chest. You can even hug it in here. And then we're gonna go back into a crunch, left knee into chest. Reach your arms up overhead. And then take your hands, row yourself over to the left and back up again. Over to the left and up again. And 10 of these, oh my. If you don't feel like doing it, take a little Shavasana break. Last one, I think. Let's just say it is. And exhale, release. Reclined butterfly. Downward facing dog. You might roll yourself there, you might slide yourself there. Okay, we're gonna do the other side. Left leg reaches up. Stack the hips, bend the knee. Look underneath that right armpit. I feel like I'm missing a back bend here. Okay, whatever. I don't think so. Dropping that foot, flipping your dog. So look at that right hand before we flip the dog, right? Are your right fingertips facing forward? If they are, pivot the hands so the thumb is closer to forward. As you start to rotate, lifting the heart, lifting the hips. Keep doing a back bend. Strong feet, strong feet. Those left fingertips are reaching for the ground. Palm faces, fingertips pointing towards the heel. Transfer the weight. Both hands pivot. Take a few breaths here. Pushing your chest through your arms. And then before we transfer to the other side, we need to point our thumb back to the front of the mat as we transfer our weight over into downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg reaches up, stack the hips. Exhale, bring that foot through. Warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Extended side angle, elbow to knee. So I'm just gonna flip so you can see and hear my voice. Left foot forward, right heel back, top arm reaching up overhead. My top arm is my right arm. Are you doing flexibility or strength? If we're doing strength, bring the left hand up to your chest or your shoulder. wherever feels good for you for 3 and 2. One more breath. Exhale, side lunge to the right. Big bend in the right knee. Left foot can be pointing up if you like, and then pulse here. Building strength. Halfmoon pose. Over, left foot will be forward. Starting to reach that left hand out, right arm, right hip. Stack, stack, stack. Maybe you go for the back bend, reaching for that floating foot. Or maybe you simply grab the foot, taking your hand to the knee if you need to, and then pushing that foot into your sit bones. A nice deep stretch, pulling the knee away from you. And then slowly allow your torso to fold forward over that left leg. If you really want to play with balance here, take that left hand, scoot it closer to your left foot, steady gaze. Maybe you wrap the left hand around the back of the ankle, squeezing the left elbow into the knee. Beautiful. See yourself in triangle. Find your way there. Make it a dance. And then if you want to add a back bend into here, hips draw forward, creating more space between the pelvis and the rib cage, and the rib cage and the chest. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. That's in everything in life. If it doesn't feel good, why are you doing it? And then coming back into your regular triangle, choosing how you want to play here. Strength or flexibility. Maybe arms are not parallel with each other. Whew. Not today. No, no, no. Exhale, back into your warrior 2. Extended side angle with a bind. Left arm reaches under, right arm reaches above. If you need to find a strap or a towel to find that bind, go ahead. It makes your arms a little bit longer. I have friends with freakishly long arms. Okay, so we're gonna take the left foot forward to meet the right. Pretend that I just did that. It's easier, I promise. Rooting everything into the right foot. Draw the heel off the ground, left heel off the ground, and back down. So we're just playing with moving our feet, moving our energy, moving our balance, and then bending that right knee just a little bit so you can slowly draw the left leg off the ground. Stand tall. Steady gaze. Maybe that left leg reaches for the stars. Steady gaze, steady breath, steady pose. Fire hydrant here. Starting to hinge from the hips, drawing your chest down parallel with the ground. Keep pointing through the foot. If you fall out, come back in again. Yes. If your body says don't do it, no thank you miss, then don't do it. Release, left knee into chest. Turning, hugging the right knee. Left arm reaches behind you. Maybe you can see those left fingertips, maybe not. Awesome. Hugging your knee into your chest again. Right hand to hip. Peace fingers, grab the big toe. Kick it out. It might just be a mega bend in the knee. There might be no bend in the knee. Drop the left hip to meet the right. Open out the hips. So now we know where we're going. The other side might have been a little ridiculous. That's okay. Slowly hinge from the hips halfway. Right arm reaches away from you. Airplane arms. So my foot is pulling, my toes are pulling into my hand to give me more balance. Okay, pistol squat. Left foot draws forward as we bend that right knee. Can you go down without bringing your hands down to the ground or your booty? If you do, that's okay. The more we practice, the better we get. Take both hands to the outside or to surround that left foot. I'm starting to get tired, so I'm losing train of thought. Maybe you bring your hands to heart center for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, come down to a seat. Start to lean yourself back as you reach your hand on the pinky edge side of that left foot. Heron Pose. So I like to start just by bending the elbow, reaching the leg up. Slowly feeling my way into the pose. Slowly, slowly. Eventually, the left arm reaches for a twist. Unwind. Take the left hand and the right hand to grab the foot. Start to lean yourself back. Bring your belly to your thighs, your thigh to your belly. And now taking that right hand, hugging it into your chest, a little bit more core work. Coming down into that hollow boat with the right knee hugged in. Reaching your arms up overhead. And then starting to twist over to the right for 10. Woo! Try to keep hugging that knee into your chest. And twist. Get those obliques fired up. We're halfway through. Don't let those head and shoulders touch the ground in between. No way, man. Ain't gonna happen here. And 3. And 2. Contract the belly. Last one. And hold. Draw the knee in closer to your chest. Exhale. Release. Mini Shavasana. Closing your eyes, going inside, pausing and feeling. Knees draw back into your chest, roll yourself up into a toe squat. Okay, we are almost into the back bending section. I just got one more arm balance I want to try with you, and then we'll be on our backs or our knees, practicing chest openers, heart openers. Okay, this is a little side crow play. So maybe you tried regular crow and you just didn't like it. That's okay. We're gonna try side crow now. Some people love side crow, some people don't. If you love side crow, yay. And if you don't, let's try it. So bring toe balance, hands to heart center as we twist over to the right. Twist over to the right. So I'm gonna turn myself to face you, okay? So I'm gonna give 2 different choices here. You can just go into side crow by bringing your hands down, walking your toes towards the front of that left hand, leaning your chest forward, looking at your feet, and maybe lifting the feet off the ground. Maybe you start kicking those legs out long as your elbow, right elbow drops down to the ground. Funky side crow. Give me a peace sign and fall. Beach lounge pose. Okay, maybe you wanted to try that side crow, but there's no way you're gonna do that transition. There's another way to get into it. It's a little bit better, okay? So we do that twist, twisted little exalting. Left hand comes down, right forearm comes down. So I need to scoot my legs back a little bit. We're gonna bring our forearm down to the ground, and we want our left hand in line with the elbow. Shoulder distance apart. Walk the feet forward, walk the feet forward, walk the feet forward until they float. Float off the ground, look towards the feet, look towards me. Peace. Is that better for you? Maybe, maybe you fall. Beach lounge pose. Soak up the sun. Say hello to the birds flying overhead. Shake out the wrists. Let's do the other side. Now, maybe you don't want to try that nonsense. You do regular crow. Regular crow is hard enough. This is just something to play with for those who are trying to deepen or challenge themselves a little bit more. Take that right arm, bring it over the outer thigh, hands come down, walk the feet forward. Eventually the feet lift, gaze towards the feet reach, 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 keep reaching, reaching, balancing your pose. Yeah, so the feet reach so far forward that my left elbow has nowhere to go but down. Maybe do peace fingers. Ooh. Beach lounge on that side. I'm running out of breath. All right, let's try when we entered into it a different way. Okay, so that right hand, since my knees are going to be supported by the triceps, this arm is my shelf. So that means my left hand, forearm comes down to the ground. Okay? Start to walk my feet out, 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 out. Look at my toes, pushing my hands into the ground, lifting the feet, look at my toes, and then maybe make peace fingers. And then we're all gonna fall down onto our backs. Yes, 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 we are here, yay! Thank goodness, we did it. I know you did awesome. You've made it this far, and we are 70 minutes into class, so yeah. Okay, backbend time. So we've done a lot of backbends already. We've done some wheels. We've done flipping the dog. We've done bridges. We've done wild things. We've done bow poses. So now we're gonna play going deeper into those back bends. And like I said, the key word here is play, P-L-A-Y. So you get to pick how you wanna play, how far you wanna play. If you are over all of this nonsense, take a block, place it underneath your low back, allow your legs to rest in the ground, okay? So you'll just be there for a few minutes, and then if you wanna do legs up the invisible wall with the block underneath you, you can do that too. Okay? Just stay there and listen to my words and ignore everything I'm saying. But if you want to play with more back bends, bring your feet so they're hip distance apart. Push your feet into the ground. Lift the hips. Holding on to your ankles, begin to shimmy your shoulders a little closer together. So we're pushing our chest up, and I'm almost balancing on the outsides of my arms. So my shoulders aren't even touching, my shoulders are, but my scapula are not touching the ground. It's the outside of my arms. Bring my hands together, straighten my arms here. Strong legs, knees point forward. I'm trying to reach my fingertips on the inside of my feet. Reach, reach, reach. My palms are facing each other. We're just reaching, creating more space, okay? Maybe you come down for a breath, or maybe you bring your hands right down, switching them by the sides of your ears. Once again, you don't have to have your fingertips directly pointing to your heels, especially if you're having wrist pain when you do that. Pivot your hands so your thumbs are pointing. Which way are they pointing? I'm like trying to see. Yeah, so your thumbs are pointing more towards your heels versus your fingertips. Okay, so you might need to look. What does that mean? So my fingertips are touching the outside of my mat. The thumbs are pointing towards my heels, lifting my hips. Push the hands into the ground to push myself onto the top of my head. And then maybe straighten myself for wheel. Once you come into wheel, root your legs, and then start to shift your hips forward and backwards. So we're feeling it out, exploring our space here in our back body. Where are we tight? Where are we strong? Where are we flexible? If you're really tight in the chest, really push your chest through the arms. Maybe draw your chin up and then back down again. Slowly start to walk the left hand down, the right hand down, elbows down to the ground, forehead down to the ground. Lift the head off the ground and then start to reach your hands toward each other. Okay, so it's like a forearm wheel. My hands are a little far apart from each other, so I'm gonna bring them back down. Slowly draw my hips down to the ground, my knees float forward. Recline butterfly. So we're gonna try that again in case you didn't see where we went. So we went from wheel into forearm wheel, and then the goal was to have my hands like this. My hands were more like that because I started far apart. But we can start this time with our hands holding onto our elbows as we push ourselves up, okay? Now, if you don't feel good in wheel, would you do that? If you have shoulder injuries, or if you're feeling any impingement in your shoulder, would I recommend that? Absolutely not, no. Most of these poses, I'm not gonna recommend for 99% of the population when we get to these advanced ones, but I assume that you know your body, okay? Just like I know my body. If I'm having a bad shoulder day, which I'm not today, but I do, I would never attempt this. If I'm having a really bad day where my back feels like it's spasming, I wouldn't go into deep back bends. I have to always be aware and in tune with my body, and I hope you are as well. And if you're not, the yoga practice will help you find that awareness and help you fine tune how you feel and sensations in your body, okay? So this time we're gonna bring our hands, actually, let's come back to the top of our head. Bring our hands down, find your elbows. Is that what they did? Yeah. So you want to bring your hands down, find your elbows as much as you can, weight is on the top of your head, and then you start to root to your feet. Strong, strong feet. You have a nice bend in your knees. Start to straighten the legs as you push your hips up, and your head will float off the ground. You might have to tuck it into your chest, and then you might walk your feet in. So we're not starting in a deeper back bend. We start nice and wide, and then as we start to open, we walk our heels closer to the body. Big shoulder stretch here. And to come back down, we slowly draw the knees forward, until our body comes down. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. reclined butterfly. If you still have a block underneath your low back, remove it. We're going to come into Camel Pose for our last few back bends. Rocking ourselves up. Okay, so we're just going to do three of these little camels. Hell, I don't think I can do three. Let's just do one. I'm too tired. It's the end of class. Let's get close to our Shavasana. So we're going to do one camel. If you want to do more, press pause and play with your camel, okay? But I will walk us through going into a little deeper and deeper camels, or maybe you even come into Kapotasana. But so we're going to be in this camel for a while. So if you're still playing with camel, bring your hands down to your low back, push the hips forward. As you reach your sternum up, lift up, and you'll stay here. If you want to go a little deeper, tuck the toes, reach back for the heels. Push the sternum up. If you want to go a little deeper, untuck the toes. I like to do that before I'm holding onto my heels. Push the sternum up. If you want to go a little bit deeper, start walking your hands in. Let your head fall. Maybe you're able to grab the backs of your thighs, your hamstrings, and then you start to do little body pumps. Head reaches down and up, down and up. Strong legs here. 3 more. Getting your head a little closer to the ground, strong muscles. If you want to reach back for your last one, let the right arm go. Let the left arm go. Come down to your forehead. Heel toe, or bring your fingertips forward. Reaching for your toes until your elbows come down to the ground. Your elbows might be able to reach, that's okay. And then push your hips up. Hips up. I can't reach my feet right now. That's okay. My hands will come down. I'm not going to bring my elbows down. Breathe here for 3. Wherever you chose to go, you're almost done. 2 more breaths. Exhale, push yourself up from camel, or if you're all the way down to the ground, drop down to reclined hero pose. If you're on Camel Pose, find your way down into Child's Pose. Take a few breaths in Child's Pose if you're there. If you're in Hero Pose, just stay in Hero Pose. That's my transition out of Capo. Straight to Hero. Reach your arms up overhead. Everyone finding their way down to their back. I'm so slippery I can actually slide my feet away from me. A mini Shavasana. Figure 4. Right leg crosses over the left. Slowly, slowly, slowly. No rush. We just did a lot of back bends. So I'm not saying phew, jump into pigeon pose. No. Slowly, slowly hug your knee into your chest. How slow can you make this happen? Don't even pull. I don't want you pulling down. It's a gentle hug. You know, you're really hurt, you're really sad. How would you hug that version of you? How would you soothe yourself? Maybe you brush your fingers through your hair, slide your fingers down your torso or your arms. You're being very gentle. Closing your eyes, finding your breath. And then maybe you start to hug a little tighter. Now that your body's response has softened to touch. And your breath has become a little smoother, a little longer. Then you can start with bringing the knee a little closer to your chest, or pushing that right knee a little bit more away from the body. And letting go of your leg, arms go out wide as you roll your legs over to the left. If you feel this in your hips, before you roll over, scoot your hips over a few inches to the right, and then allow the legs to fall over. Now you can keep that foot down, knee pointing up, to find not only a belly twist, but a hip stretch, a hip flexor. Or just release, stacking the right knee over the left. What do you need right now? Gazing to the right fingertips. Unwinding. Knees drawn to chest. Small circles here. Really small. Once again, being gentle, not forcing anything. Just let your knees move, not your hands move your knees. And then we're going to go into a little Plough Pose. Taking our knees and slowly lifting our feet over the head until eventually it reaches back to the ground. And don't worry about having straight legs here unless that feels good for you. You can also bend the knees. Knee to ear pose. Hands can come to low back. And then start to draw your hands forward slowly. They walk themselves like little spiders until they're reaching for your toes. Breathe into your low back here. Take a really deep breath and hold. Sip in a little more air. Exhale, slowly soften through the mouth. Exhale. We'll do that one more time. Inhale. Maybe you start to straighten the legs as your hips lower down slightly. It's like that happy baby we started class with, trying to get the tailbone down on the ground. But the most important thing in here is to have your belly and thighs touching and to have nice control of your breath. If your arms are reaching up overhead, slowly, one vertebrae at a time, so slow. Hips lower, so slow, so slow. Take your time. Figure 4 on the other side. Right knee bends, left ankle crosses over. Hug the knee into your chest. What word have I said about 100 times in the last 5 minutes? Slow. Gentle. No rush. Maybe you soothe your leg. Go inside. This is your time, the end of practice, where you can really go inside to pause and feel. Reconnect with the physical body, the energetic body, the flow of your thoughts. If your monkey mind is talking away up there, come back to your breath. Now that we've been here for a little bit, maybe now you can hug your knee in just a little bit more. Arms reach out wide. Scoot the hips over to the left a few inches. Left foot falls down to the ground, right knee as you gaze to the left. Whatever you did on the other side, repeat here. Soften the jaw, soften the eyes. Unwinding. Hugging your knees into your chest. And instead of keeping your knees in your chest, allow your knees to open up a little wider. Toes stay together. Widening the back body, that pelvis area. Not pushing down too much on the knees. We're more about widening the space of the pelvis and the sacrum right now. So your knees are falling wide. A little wider. It's almost like you're coming into a butterfly pose. I'm transferring my hands to my ankles so my knees can go a little wider. Whenever you're ready, Shavasana. Shaking out your hands or your feet if you're feeling this residual energy like I am. Backbends can do that. Shake it out. Puff the chest up slightly. Let the body melt back into the ground. Find your breath. And then bring your awareness to your heart center. Feel any sensations that you have created there. Notice what colors show up. What images you might see around that heart area. And if you can't see inside the heart, visualize right above it. Or maybe a little bit higher, so you're looking in versus being in. Both are perfectly fine. Notice what temperature you feel. Maybe you have a tingling sensation or a vibration along the skin, the surface of the skin, or inside. Blood pulsing. And for the next few moments, allow all your awareness to stay centered on the heart. Allow that energy to move and flow around organically with your breath. Maybe you feel it move up and down the limbs, or maybe it stays centered within the torso. Maybe you feel it wash over your body. And whatever you need to feel right now, allow your body to feel, whether it be happy or sad or anger or nothing. Just be with your heart, with yourself. And if you want to stay in a longer Shavasana, turn off your phone or TV or laptop, stay as long as you need. But this video is 90 minutes, my 60 always becomes 90. It's really hard to do these advanced classes in 60 minutes. One day I will. That day was not today. Reach your arms up overhead. Take a nice deep stretch. Rolling over to one side, allowing your head to rest on your arm. Keep your eyes closed. Hold on to that energy that you cultivated, those feelings that were focused around your heart. And holding on to that, slowly push yourself up to a comfortable seat. Hands come together, heart center. Pushing your thumbs gently into your heart. Just a little gentle lift of the heart and a connection between your palms and your heart. So all of that energy, all those feelings that you just felt, allow them to move within your body. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, audible sigh. One more. Let it go. Drawing your hands to your forehead. Be light and shine. Hands come back to heart. Be light and love. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very much for joining me today. I hope that you had fun. I hope that you learned something new and that you have things to play with. And if you felt like you were super challenged and all over the place, watch it again. Not right now, maybe in a couple days or maybe tomorrow. And then go out there and give somebody a hug. Not somebody not in your circle. Someone in your circle, right? Want to practice social distancing but still love. So right now I've got my little doggy and I'm giving him love, huh? Yeah. All right, thank you.